Hey everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Nike SB Dunks. Now keep in mind that this is for the Nike SB Dunks, not the Nike Dunks, as those are two completely different shoes. And keep in mind that all the skating you're going to see in this video are very old clips, and I was just recovering from an ankle injury during the time, so it may not reflect my current skate ability at the moment. Inside the box you'll get the pair of shoes and two sets of laces. One set of lace will be already attached to the shoe, and the other one will be bundled up and set aside. And then they would also be two different colors as well. Now right out the box, the shoe felt very stiff, but then as it breaks in, it gets a lot more flexible, and for me, it took about a couple weeks of just wearing the shoe around to really break it in. Now at first, the laces seemed very short and too short, but as the shoe broke in more, the shoe became looser overall, felt a lot more comfortable, and then the laces did feel like it was the right length, so just keep that in mind. Now for me, these shoes felt true to size. It felt snug and secure while still having some room in the toe area, but not to where it felt super loose, just enough to where the shoe doesn't seem like it's suffocating your feet. Now it's a flat shoe, and it has a removable thin Nike Zoom Air insole, and honestly, I generally don't like the insole, but with a giant cup sole like this insole works really good with the entire construction of this shoe. But you can always remove the insole and replace it with something else if you don't want to use the stock insole. Right, so what's the good stuff about the shoe? Well, first of all, it's a very durable shoe. As you can see here, there's not very noticeable external damage. Most of it is just very dirty, and really the damages I see are going to be cosmetic. It doesn't affect the performance of the shoe, nor does it affect the construction of the shoe. So, toe area, I've been doing a lot of kickflips, and it's holding up very well. There's no peeling, there's no holes or anything like that. There's some scuff marks on the toe, but it's all dirty, and it still gets the job done. So, like I said, a very durable shoe. Now, as I said before, at first the shoe feels very stiff and it feels like the laces aren't long enough, but as it breaks in, it gets a lot more flexible, a lot more looser, and it feels much more comfortable than it initially does. So keep that in mind. At first, right out the box, it may not feel too comfortable, but once you start wearing it more and more and it breaks in more and more, it'll feel a lot more comfortable. And yes, it's a very comfortable shoe. Now it has very good impact protection. When I'm landing in primo or I'm running down from transition or whatnot, I can feel that initial impact and it's like, ouch. But then right afterwards, there wasn't any noticeable pain or any point where I had to just sit down and rest because of that impact. So very good impact protection. And of course, if you feel like it doesn't have enough impact protection, you can always replace that insole with something else of your choice. Now the sole grip felt very consistent. Both of my shoes have wear on the sole, with my right shoe having the most wear on this area right here, but it didn't affect the actual grippiness of the sole. It feels very consistent, which I like a lot. Now for all you transition / vert skaters out there, the toe cap, it's acceptable for knee slides. Nothing special, but it gets the job done. There's no noticeable rubber wear at least. Most of the damage is going to be on this area of the toe, and you can see this discoloration and the scuff marks on this area. That's because of knee slides. But it's not going to tear through the leather or the rubber and make the shoe look extremely ugly with a ton of holes in it. So, it gets the job done. The shoe also has tongue straps, so it's going to keep that tongue nice and centered. It won't make it lean to one side like some other shoes that don't have the tongue straps. And I like this addition. Makes the tongue feel like that, and it doesn't bother me. Right, so what's the bad stuff about the shoe? Board feel is decent, I would say. People who definitely aren't used to this style of shoe are going to have a rough time trying to get used to them. You'll lose a lot of board feel, but it's not like you can't feel the board at all. For me, it felt like I had a general sense of where my feet was, but not exactly where my feet was, if that makes any sort of sense. I mean, yeah, over time I did get used to it, but I definitely prefer the board feel of a slim cup sole rather than a much more bulky cup sole like the Nike SB Dunk. And a strange phenomenon is that it made the board feel a lot smaller than it actually was. So that may be a pro or con depending on who you ask. Some people may want to skate a bigger board, but may not like how hefty or like how wide it feels. Shoes like this may make the board feel a little bit smaller and maybe a little bit more manageable, but that's something you're gonna have to figure out on your own. Now for the next con is why I actually stopped wearing the shoes for a long time, and it's because the shoes draw way too much attention, something that I personally do not like. Now if you're someone that likes the attention and likes getting noticed and all that, that's fine, that's all you. Personally, I don't really prefer that, and it draws the attention of people in a very strange way. Like they'll stop you at the skate park or on the streets and they'll be like, oh hey, nice shoes, and they want to get you to talk about it. Not so much as like, oh, I really like your shoes. It's more like, hey, how did they skate? Where'd you get them from? How much you pay? It's very weird questions that I personally don't like, and it's especially questions that skate shops get a lot that carry Nike SB. Just the very annoying sneakerhead questions that just really want to press you about where you're getting these dunks and if you paid resale or retail, all that stupid sort of stuff. I personally didn't like it. It's just kind of like, I'm just trying to go to my destination, I'm just trying to skate, I'm not really looking for a conversation, And it got to the point to where I just eventually just stopped wearing the shoes because, again, it drew way too much attention. I just didn't like that attention. So that's something to keep in mind if you really just don't like being the center of attention, or you don't feel like being bombarded with questions or people pointing out your shoes and all that. That is going to be an extremely big con about these shoes. So no, they're just kind of reserved as my backup shoes, just in case I need some shoes at some later time in the future, but aren't able to get them yet. That's what I'm kind of using them for right now. Now another con of the shoe is going to be its limited colorways and the material that it's made of. Since Dunks are still an exclusive release, you really can't be picky about the colorways that they release. They don't release black and white and black and very basic colorways often. And usually with releases like this, it's always going to be some sort of crazy colorway. So just keep in mind of that. You may not get the colorway you want, but you'll still get that same good performance out of the shoe. But also, they may not always be made of the same material as the last previous Dunk release. Now for the ones that I have, they're made of the basic materials, suede and leather. But there are also other ones that are made of different materials, like faux leather, velvet, mesh, canvas, some other sort of crazy material that really strays from the norm of suede and leather. So you need to keep in mind of that. You may be getting a Dunk that may not be as durable as the traditional construction of suede and leather. But you won't really have a choice in that. You'll just have to wait for the next Dunk release. Now the next con is very limited availability. Dunks are artificially scarce. They're not rare. They're just kind of hard to get because of the way Dunks are handled. Skate shops only get a limited number of them. Generally, skate shops will either raffle them or do a first come first serve, and there's always going to be some sort of high demand for them. Now, the hype has died down a little bit, definitely because of the sneaker market crash, to where resale isn't very good anymore, but also because some of the previous colorways that they have released, from what I hear, aren't the best. So maybe the time to get a Dunk is now, if you're not picky about a high top or low top or the materials or the colors. But if you're looking for a very specific color or model of the shoe, it is still going to be very, very limited. And if you're going to see a shoe that you want that is going to release in the future, chances are hundreds of people in your area have also seen that, and they'll be the first ones to line up at that skate shop that has them. Now the next con is going to be the MSRP, or the manufacturer suggested retail price. At the time that I got my shoes, they were $100 for the shoes before tax and all that. Now that's a little bit high for what I usually get, but I think it is a fair price for the quality that you're getting, which is pretty good. But I know that the MSRP has risen over the past few months, and the highest I've seen it go, and where it seems to be settling, is between $120 to $130 for a pair of shoes. And I know for some people, that can definitely be high. And if you're paying resale for these to skates, I wouldn't, because you are still going to pay a very pretty penny for them. And because of that high cost, there are definitely a lot of other cupsole options out there that may or may not give the same or similar performance, but will still get the job done for a lot cheaper. Like a kind of same-ish silhouette and look. It's not a personal recommendation, but from what I've seen, it's going to be the Lakai Telford or the Adidas Forum 84. It's kind of the still same basketball style shoe cupsole, but for a much lower price and much more widely available. Now, I'm not going to say that they perform exactly the same as Dunks, but there are other options out there that will probably also get the job done for a much cheaper price and much more availability. So yeah, overall, what do I think about these shoes? Yeah, they're a skate shoe. They work. If you were expecting me to claim that these were the best shoes ever and that you need to get a pair, well, I'm sorry to disappoint, because I don't believe that. This shoe may work for some people, this shoe may not work for some other people. For me personally, I think they're good, but I wouldn't be dying to get another pair. And if anything, I actually want some other sort of skate shoe right now. But practically wise, yeah, pretty good. They're a skate shoe. So yeah, that has been another video. If you have any questions or you think I left anything out or missed anything, just leave them in the comments below, and as always, I will see you in the next one.